I am Gayala VanOrder. I am married to Loyal VanOrder. We've been married about 55 years. I have 4 children and 5 grandchildren and 1 great granddaughter. That's about who I am. Oh my gosh. I accepted Christ when I was 9 years old. My parents were attending a church in Peoria. My testimony is kind of strange. They were building an addition to the church. And so my parents were out laying concrete block and all this. And I was just playing around inside. I would carry buckets of water to them. Our pastor at the time was in the attic of the building. And I walked into the sanctuary where the attic was, and I heard him singing, "What a Friend I Have in Jesus." And it really freaked me out. But it really made me think. And this was a couple of days later. It was service at church. We were sitting there, and it just really hit me that I needed that friend in Jesus. And so I went up to the front and I looked at him and I said, "I want your friend in Jesus." And he was a little startled. He wasn't sure why I said it that way. Later, I told him about how he had been in the attic singing, and I just heard his voice, and it convicted me that I needed to accept Christ as my Savior. I was 9, and we attended church there for several years. Later, when I was a teenager, there was a mission church that was started close to our home. And my parents were really excited about that. And that was Richland. We started attending there and become charter members of the church. Oh my gosh. Something that God has done in my life that has really stood out over the years is when my oldest daughter was just an infant. She became very ill with a very critical disease. And the doctors finally said, "There's nothing more we can do." They gave us no hope. And the hope was if she survives, 90% of the children who survive are either deaf, mentally retarded, or have some other defect or hearing loss. We began to pray, and we called the church. And the church began to pray. And we had people who prayed all over the United States for our daughter. It was so amazing. The day that she come off the critical list, the church was praying. And when Loyal called to tell them that she had been taken off the critical list, they were in the midst of prayer for Leah. It was just absolutely amazing. I think probably had a good rejoicing time at church, and we definitely did at the hospital. But we saw God's hand in that, and the doctor admitted that he did nothing, that it was God that healed her, and he was just amazed that there was nothing else. God has helped us through a lot of things. 2 diagnoses with cancer, having a stroke in June with no ill effects from that. I just feel that God has something special for me to do, and that's to work for him, or else he would not do those things. I started attending Richland when I was a teenager, and so that continued on until we joined with Journey a few years ago, and so I've just continued on. So it's been a lifetime almost. What do I do in my spare time? Well, let's see. I don't know what that is really, because my time is pretty filled with watching my grandchildren active in church. I do like to craft and do things. I make greeting cards, like to do that. But most of my time is spent with my grandchildren. I have a song that seems to get me through a lot of things. It always seems to be on the radio when I need it. It helped me through the passing of my parents, and that is Mercy Me's "I Can Only Imagine." I have 2 that I hold close to me, and because I don't memorize things, I had to write it down. The first one is Psalms 37:5, and it says, "Commit everything you do to the Lord. Trust in him, and he will help you through." The other one is Isaiah 40:31. "Those who hope in the Lord will be renewed their strength, and they will soar on wings like eagles." I consider the position of deaconess being a servant. And I figure I am a servant. I like to serve people. I like to help people. I like to pray with them. I like to sit with them. I like to cry with them, help them in any way I can. And I think sometimes you go through times where you just have to listen. Other times you have to do things. And as a deacon, I feel that's what my position is. I want the church to know that I am a believer, that I believe as a Christian that I'm a servant, and that my job to share with other people about Jesus Christ. I have enjoyed in the past doing mission work, going on mission adventures. We have gone on to 2 different countries. We have done at least 18 mission trips, if not more. We developed a very strong rapport with the Navajo Nation and the Navajo Nation leaders, president and other chamber leaders there. That has been probably a passion for me. And missions are a big thing. Doing missions doesn't have to be in 2 countries or 18 different states or whatever. It can be in our back door, but I am very passionate about that. Please feel free to, if there's anything that Loyal and I can do to help you in your time at the journey, feel free to call us. We would be willing to help in any way we can. Just feel free to contact us, reach out to us.